Let's count down the top 12 Beatles tourist attractions in the world.
Let's go.
Let's start the clock and hit number 12.
All right, number 12, Penny Lane, Liverpool.
Now, this is the perfect example of what we were just talking about. History hiding in plain sight. Penny Lane is not a theme park ride.
Nope, no admission fee here.
Right, there's no admission fee. It is a real, working, still functioning street in the Mossley Hill area of Liverpool. It's roughly I think a 15-minute walk from the city center.
Yep, about 15 minutes. And when you walk it today, the lyrics of the song become just eerily literal.
It's spooky almost.
That's the genius of it, though. The 1967 song isn't some abstract, psychedelic poem. It is basically a highly detailed map of a suburban childhood.
Yeah.
The barber shop, the bank, that famous, shelter in the middle of the roundabout.
They are all genuine locations.
Exactly. Paul McCartney was just a kid on his way to visit relatives, just absorbing these everyday sights. And years later, they transformed into one of the most vividly painted character studies in their entire catalog.
And what blows my mind is that the barber shop mentioned in the lyrics, which was once run by a guy named Bioletti, it still occupies roughly the same spot.
Yeah, it's wild.
And the roundabout shelter is this unofficial community hub now. But wait, I have to ask you, is the appeal just like going down a checklist of things you heard in a song?
No, not at all. I mean, the appeal of Penny Lane is that it rewards patience over spectacle. It proves a fundamental mechanism of their songwriting, which is you don't need to invent a mystical fantasy world to make great art. Their most whimsical, impressionistic work was constructed from the most mundane, real-world details imaginable.
It's like finding out that the magical realm in your favorite fantasy novel is actually just the author's local grocery store.
That is exactly what it is. And fans understand that connection so deeply that they used to steal the street signs constantly.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The city was losing so many metal signs to tourists that they eventually just gave up and started painting the name Penny Lane directly onto the brick walls.
Which is just brilliant municipal problem solving, honestly.
It is, but it also perfectly preserves the unassuming nature of the street.
Absolutely. So moving from the bright, sunny streets of the suburbs, we need to talk about the literal underground. Let's dig into number 11.
Number 11, the Casbah Coffee Club, Liverpool.
Okay, everyone knows the famous venues.
Yeah.
But if you want to understand the actual proving ground, like the Crucible, you have to start here.
Oh, absolutely.
The Casbah was a coffee club quite literally built into the cellar of a childhood home in 1959. And this was the home of Pete Best.
Yep, Pete Best. This is arguably the most historically important site that casual fans might completely overlook.
Totally.
Because before the mythology of Hamburg, before they wore those iconic matching suits, the young quarrymen, which included John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and George Harrison, actually helped build out and decorate this cellar themselves.
They're painting the ceilings. I just imagine that negotiation today. You hire a band, and part of the contract is, hey, can you guys paint the walls and do some light drywall work before you plug in the amps?
Right. Just patch up that corner over there before sound check.
Exactly.
And you can still see that original hand-painted artwork on the ceiling right now.
That is insane.
There's a specific section of stars that George Harrison painted personally. And because it's preserved by Pete Best's family, it only opens for scheduled tours, which keeps the crowds very small.
Which means when you visit, you are standing in the literal unventilated room where a group of teenagers first figured out what it felt like to perform for a paying, screaming audience.
Yeah.
Like if you have ever played in a high school garage band, you know exactly what the air smelled like in that room. Stale coffee, sweat, and ambition.
That's spot on. If we look at the mechanics of becoming a legendary band, this is where they learned the physical stamina required to be a live act.
You have to sweat in a tiny, claustrophobic cellar and figure out how to project your energy before you can conquer the world.
Exactly.
Speaking of unassuming places where massive things happen, I need to bring us out of the cellar and into the daylight for number 10.
Number 10, St. Peter's Church, Lytton.
July 6th, 1957. A summer fete on the grounds of an active parish church. Now wait, time out. I have to stop you here.
Oh.
When I think of the single most consequential moment in rock history, the exact moment the legendary songwriting partnership began, I picture a smoky underground blues club or a glamorous backstage party in Soho.
Right, something cinematic.
Yes, I do not picture a churchyard fete next to a tombola stall.
I know. The aesthetic is totally wrong for a rock and roll origin story. But history rarely cares about our expectations. On that specific summer day, a teenage John Lennon was playing with his skiffle group.
Just a local gig.
Yeah, And in the crowd watching was a 15-year-old Paul McCartney. A mutual friend introduced them in the church hall, and Paul McCartney impressed John Lennon by knowing all the lyrics and chords to a popular rock song.
Which was huge back then.
Huge. That sheer technical confidence led John Lennon to invite him into the band.
And the trajectory of popular music completely shifted right there between the cake stall and the parish announcements.
Precisely. And the location itself remains totally humble. It's still an active parish. There's no massive flashing neon sign. But adding to the poetic resonance of the grounds, the churchyard contains a genuine, completely unrelated gravestone bearing the name Eleanor Rigby.
Which Paul McCartney has admitted he likely absorbed unconsciously just walking past it as a teenager. That gives me absolute chills. It just proves that your environment is constantly feeding your creative subconscious, whether you know it or not.
Exactly. The mundane details of Woolton were quietly loading the ammunition for their future masterpieces.
Okay, we are into the single digits now, and we need to talk about how a city actually manages all this scattered history. Number 9.
Number 9, the Beatles story, Liverpool.
So, we've talked about a few spots scattered around the suburbs, but if you want to tie it all together, you head to the historic Albert Dock. This is the city's largest dedicated museum for the band.
And it serves as the ultimate primer. It walks you chronologically through the post-war working-class backdrop, the gritty days in Hamburg, the explosion of Beatlemania, the psychedelic studio years, all the way to the breakup.
It's massive.
It uses these incredible immersive recreations, like a mock-up of the Casbah and a full reconstruction of the cavern stage.
Now, I know some listeners are thinking, why is a museum on a list of active historical sites?
Fair question.
Right. But here's why. It provides the psychological framing. If you don't understand the gray, austere, post-war reality of 1950s Liverpool, the colorful explosion of their music makes absolutely no sense.
Not at all.
If you are a visitor without the time to track down every scattered blue plaque across the city, this is your structural foundation.
That framing is crucial. Once you walk through this museum's recreation of these tight, cramped spaces and understand the timeline, seeing the real locations hits infinitely harder.
You need the context.
You understand the narrative arc, you understand exactly what they were stepping into when they walked on stage.
Armed with that context, let's head right back into their actual living rooms. Number 8.
Number 8, Mendips and 20 Forthland Road, Liverpool.
We're going back to the residential streets. Mendips was John Lennon's childhood home on Menlove Avenue, where he lived with his strict Aunt Mimi from age 5. And just a few miles away is 20 Forthland Road, Paul McCartney's family home during his teenage years.
These properties are managed by the National Trust now, and access is tightly controlled via guided minibus tours. They are practically frozen in time, furnished to reflect their exact 1950s and 60s appearance.
I absolutely love this inclusion because it strips away all the mythology. You look at these modest kitchens and tiny front rooms and you realize the physical constraints they were under.
Very tight quarters.
Think about the mechanics of it. They were sitting in a front parlor trying to write songs. Maybe Paul McCartney was plucking his bass, but Aunt Mimi is in the next room demanding quiet.
That restriction is exactly the point, though. Because they couldn't just plug in and play at maximum volume, they had to rely on tight, intricate vocal harmonies.
Right, they had to adapt.
I had to make the songs structurally interesting on acoustic instruments. They wrote massive early hits like Please Please Me, and I saw her standing there while sitting on a sofa, actively trying not to disturb the household. 2
teenage boys whispering lyrics so they wouldn't get yelled at, inadvertently inventing the pop blueprint of the 20th century. It grounds them as ordinary teenagers doing what teenagers everywhere do, just trying to carve out a little creative space.
And that desire to escape strict domestic rules leads us perfectly to our next location, which was just a short jump over a wall for young John Lennon. Number 7.
Number 7, Strawberry Field, Liverpool.
For decades, this was essentially a pilgrimage point where fans would travel to Woolton, walk up to a set of locked red iron gates, take a photo, and leave.
Because it was a private facility, right?
Exactly. Because it was an active working Salvation Army children's home.
Right. When John Lennon was feeling stifled at Mendips by Aunt Mimi's rules, he would literally hop the wall into the wild, overgrown gardens of Strawberry Field to play and just, find some peace.
A little sanctuary.
Yeah. The gates themselves became so iconic that the originals were actually removed in 2011 for preservation, and careful replicas were installed. But the major shift for visitors happened recently, in September 2019.
They finally opened the gates. The Salvation Army fully opened the grounds to the public. adding an interactive exhibition, a cafe, and landscaped gardens.
And what's so amazing about this evolution is that the ticket revenue goes directly to funding a training center for young people with learning difficulties. It continues the charitable mission that the Salvation Army has run on that site since the 1930s.
This raises a beautiful point about poetic transformation. Here you have a song about isolation, about a hazy childhood escape where nothing is real.
Yeah.
And it has been physically transformed into a welcoming place of community and belonging that fans can actually walk through. It went from being a symbol of a locked gate to a literal open door.
That is a stunning way to look at it. Just beautiful. Okay, we are officially halfway through. We are leaving the quiet suburbs and heading for the water. Number 6.
Number 6, the Beatles statues, Liverpool waterfront.
Unveiled in 2015 at the historic Pierhead. This was funded entirely by public donation and created by sculptor Andrew Edwards. It is a life-size bronze statue of the 4 of them just casually walking together.
Facing out toward the River Mersey, which is highly symbolic.
Oh, how so?
Well, this isn't tied to a specific historical event or a concert. It's a tribute to their maritime port city roots. They grew up on the edge of this water. The city's status as a port is why American R&B and rock records flowed into Liverpool in the first place, brought over by the merchant sailors.
Oh, of course. That maritime connection is everything. And because they are just in this informal walking pose, fans treat the sculpture like a permanently available 5th bandmate.
Oh, definitely.
People are constantly hooking their arm around bronze Paul McCartney for a selfie, just taking a stroll with the guys down by the river.
It's totally earned its place, though.
Yeah.
It sits right in the open air with the harbor view, just a short walk from Albert Dock. It captures the global, outward-looking spirit of the city they came from.
Speaking of the spirit of the city, let's dive into the absolute beating, chaotic heart of it all. Number 5.
Number 5, Matthew Street and the Cavern Quarter, Liverpool.
If you want to feel the sheer density of their history, you go to Matthew Street. It is a narrow, bustling street that has essentially become a living shrine.
It's electric down there.
It really is. Wait, let me rephrase. It is absolutely packed end to end with pubs, murals, gift shops, and a statue of John Lennon casually leaning against a brick wall.
And you have the Cavern Walk Shopping Arcade with a wall dedicated to the names of every single act that ever played the Cavern. Now, it would be very easy for a cynical traveler to dismiss this as just a tourist trap, but that would be a huge mistake.
Why is that? I mean, it is pretty commercialized.
Because the volume of genuine history packed into these few hundred yards is staggering. This is the exact compact stretch of pavement where they played hundreds of shows.
The actual pavement.
Yes. This is the street where local record store manager Brian Epstein famously ventured down into a sweaty cellar to see what all the fuss was about, fundamentally altering their career trajectory.
And it's not a graveyard, you know. It's a living ecosystem. They host the International Beatle Week every August. It's a functioning entertainment district built around real, dense history. You are literally walking through Liverpool's ongoing daily relationship with its greatest export.
Which leads us perfectly down the stairs into the cellar itself. Number 4.
Number 4, the Cavern Club, Liverpool.
Now, we have to be clear about the architecture here. The current club is a careful reconstruction. The original building was tragically demolished in 1973 during a railway construction project.
Okay, I have to scream into a pillow for a second. Imagine being the city planner who signed that paperwork.
Oh, I know.
Like, yeah, this damp cellar where the foundation of global music history was forged. Knock it down. We need a ventilation shaft for a train. Absolute disaster.
A monumental oversight. But thankfully, they recognized the mistake and rebuilt it using around 15,000 of the original bricks. They perfectly recreated the brick-arched cellar layout, the low stage, and that cramped, sweaty intimacy.
The band played here nearly 300 times between 1961 and 1963. I want you to just close your eyes and imagine the acoustics of that room.
Oh, it must have been deafening.
The raw, unpolished, deafening sound bouncing off those curved brick ceilings right back into their faces. This is before they toured America, way before the orchestral complexity of Sgt. Pepper. This is pure, high-octane rock and roll sweat.
And because it still operates as a genuine live music venue today, you can actually go there, order a drink, and listen to live bands play in a space designed to replicate the exact physical and acoustic conditions of those early days.
That is wild.
It is the closest thing tourism can provide to actual time travel.
Incredible. All right, we are jumping geographically for our top 3. We are leaving Liverpool behind. The band outgrew their hometown, and their final, most mythic moments played out on the streets of London. Number 3.
Number 3. Apple Corps Headquarters, 3 Savile Row, London.
January 30th, 1969. Picture this. You are a bespoke tailor walking through London's upscale tailoring district. You hear this massive wall of sound echoing off the buildings.
Just shaking the windows.
You look up, and there they are on the roof of their own company's headquarters, playing their final unannounced public performance.
It literally stopped traffic. The police had to climb the stairs and step onto the roof to shut it down. Today, that building still stands, but it's used for other commercial purposes.
No museum inside.
Nope, no museum. There's just a simple commemorative plaque on the wall outside.
Which means it relies entirely on the invisible weight of history. I love this one because it rewards the fans who know the story. You stand on that narrow street, you look up at that specific rooftop silhouette, and you know that 4 men who had already privately decided to break up the band gave the world one last, massive, synchronized, spontaneous show up there.
It's a profound experience because the street doesn't shout its history at you. It just quietly holds it, waiting for you to look up and recognize what happened in the airspace above you.
Okay, the tension is building. We're at number 2.
Number 2, Abbey Road Studios, London.
This is it. The holy grail of recording history, the place where they recorded almost the entirety of their catalog, from the early sessions all the way to their final recorded album.
Specifically Studio 2. The absolute sonic magic that happened in that room, the creation of Sgt. Pepper, the complex tape loops of Strawberry Fields Forever, the list is endless.
But here's what blows my mind about this location. It is not frozen in time. It is not a mausoleum. It is a fully functioning recording studio used by contemporary artists. Today, it is doing the exact same job it did in 1969.
Which is exactly why general public access to the interior is limited. Artists are in there working on the clock. But the exterior has become its own phenomenon. Fans have been writing graffiti and messages on the white walls outside for decades.
I love that.
The studio respects this tradition so much that they deliberately leave it untouched for a while and then periodically repaint it white just to give fans a fresh canvas for new messages.
It's an interactive monument. Please write on our walls. And they do have a gift shop that gives fans a little bit of interior access to browse the history. But just standing outside a building that holds that much concentrated creative energy, it's palpable.
And that brings us to the ultimate intersection of the mythic and the mundane. The final stop, number 1.
Drumroll, please. Number 1, the Abbey Road Zebra Crossing, London.
August 8th, 1969. A photographer named Ian McMillan stands on a stepladder in the middle of the street. He has about 10 minutes to work while a policeman temporarily holds up traffic.
And minutes.
Just 10 minutes. He takes exactly 6 photographs of John Lennon, Ringo Starr, Paul McCartney, and George Harrison walking in a line across the street.
And one of those 6 photos becomes the cover of their final recorded album, creating the most recognized, endlessly scrutinized, and relentlessly recreated image in the history of popular music.
What's fascinating here is that there is no ticket to buy. There is no exhibition space. It is just an ordinary pedestrian crossing on a very busy London street.
Yeah.
And because it is still an active traffic feature, visitors trying to recreate the photo are dodging actual moving cars.
Oh my gosh, I always think about the poor London commuters. Imagine you just want to drive to the grocery store and every single day you have to lay on the horn and wait for a family of tourists to perfectly synchronize their strides across the stripes.
Just a nightmare for the locals.
Mate, get out of the crosswalk. And the best part, there is a 24/7 live stream webcam setup. Anyone, anywhere in the world can just log on and watch strangers attempt the walk in real time while getting honked at by local drivers.
It is brilliant situational comedy. But beyond the humor of it, the historical significance is immense. In 2010, English Heritage granted the crossing grade Siskel listed status.
Wow.
They gave official historical protection, a status usually reserved for ancient monuments and grand historical buildings, to a few stripes of white paint on asphalt.
Paint on asphalt. It is the absolute pinnacle of everyday life colliding with legend.
It synthesizes everything we've talked about today.
Yeah.
These locations aren't sacred because of the grand architecture. They are sacred because of the human electricity that passed through them.
Yes. What an incredible journey. So I want you to think about this as you go about your day. Look around your own neighborhood. Look at the ordinary coffee shop you are sitting in, or that basic crosswalk you use every single morning to get to work. Could it be the site of tomorrow's history?
It absolutely could be.
Because if there is one thing this entire countdown proves, it's that legendary, world-changing moments do not just happen in grand halls or palaces. They happen in cramped, damp cellars.
Right.
They happen on quiet suburban streets where you have to keep the volume down. They happen in front of unassuming barber shops and at churchyard feats next to the tombola stall.
History is always happening right under our feet. We just don't always realize it until the paint dries and the songs are written.
Until next time, when you listen.
Your mind conducts its own symphony.
Hey, by the way, everyone, we've collected some of our favorite Beatles treasures on our Amazon storefront.
Yes, it's a great way to support this channel and to get a good deal on some Beatles merch. The link is in the video description and the first comment.
Right. And if you've got a browser handy, you can just to BeatlesRewindBook.com, and that will get you to our Amazon store.